Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Coachable Moments. I'm your host, Pat GPT, and today we're going to talk about a topic that is very much needed, I think. And this topic for today is called Paycheck to Paycheck. I've had the honor of having conversations with a few friends over the last few weeks, and they've asked the question to me on a couple of different occasions. And that question is, how do I get out of this cycle of living paycheck to paycheck? And I want to get into some of the things that I do personally. And I want to also look at some of the behaviors that cause this cycle to repeat itself. So I like to go back to the beginning of one of my earliest memories of gratification. And I remember as a little boy, my parents would go out grocery shopping, and, anytime they would come home, I would look at all the grocery bags and I would see that box of cereal. And the first thing I wanted to do was break open that box of cereal to get to the prize that was inside. And as I, grew older, I started to repeat those behaviors in different aspects of my life. And now that I'm much older, I look back at what was symbolically going on. I was provided with a box of food which was supposed to nourish me, but I would ignore the nourishment, and I wanted to get directly to the prize that was inside. So looking at where we are today as a society, we work, 40, 50, 60 hours a week to get a paycheck. And when we get the paycheck, we do the same thing that we do with that I used to do with the cereal. We see the money, it's deposited into our bank accounts. And instead of looking at what it's supposed to provide us as far as nourishment, we look for the prize that it can provide. So there is we hear this all the time about the dopamine highs. This is, some of the dopamine highs that we get can come from, compliments from other people. They can come from, seeing 1,000 likes on your Facebook picture that you posted. All these things make us feel good, and we're in such a search for the next good feeling that there's not a lot of preparation for what we need to do, not only with our money, but our life and our behaviors as well. We're looking for the next high. So with that in mind, one of the things that I tell all of my friends to do, and a lot of them have adopted this practice, is that look at how you feel on the week of your payday, leading up to the payday. Look at how you feel Monday through Thursday, and then compare that to how you feel on Friday. There's a huge difference in your energy on Friday because you've had this deposit into your bank account, and your energy levels are much higher. You're much happier because you've received something that you can go and get that prize with, that new outfit, that new pair of shoes that just came out. And so instead of looking to nourish our lives with what the money can provide, we use the money to make us feel good. And if you do that analysis of yourself, you'll see how much different Fridays feel compared to that Monday through Thursday. So a few years ago, I decided to change up my routine on Fridays because there was an obvious difference in my mood on Friday, having that extra money in my bank account. So the first thing I committed to do on Friday was, as soon as I got paid, instead of stopping anywhere, whether it's to get gas or grab some food, I made it a personal habit to go directly home. And that way, if I were to go, let's say to the gas station to get some gas, I would see something that I wanted, whether it was a snack or a drink, and I'm initially spending money. Just before I even get home, I've already spent some money that I didn't intend to spend. So what I do is I go directly home, and prior to that Friday, I've invested some time into planning a budget for myself. So I know exactly what I need to pay, what has to be paid, and before I pay anybody, the first thing I do is pay myself first. So I have to make sure that I intentionally put money into my savings and my investment account before I pay any of my bills. Because if you don't pay yourself first, you won't have anything left to pay yourself. So that's the first thing I do. I get home, I look at my budget, and I make sure that I start to direct my money. If you're not telling your money what to do, it will do what it wants to do. And trust me, when Monday morning comes around and your bank account says low, low to nothing left, it's a very bad feeling. So you need to be intentional and make sure your money does what you need it to do, and not allow it to have a mind of its own. And I want you to notice like how the economy works. So you'll notice that no stores have sales throughout the week. But once it gets closer to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much all of the department stores have items that go on sale. And this is just to entice you to spend the money that you worked hard to accumulate over the last 4 days, 5 days. So really take in mind how you're being marketed. And I heard recently on a news broadcast that America is one of the most marketed to societies in the world because, we've got the geo tracking on our phones. So anytime your smartphone lets you know that you're close by Dunkin' Donuts or whatever your favorite store is that you just looked up on your phone, your cell phone will let you know, and it'll send you coupon alerts or discounts that are available to you just because you've gotten your smartphone within a close proximity of that particular restaurant or store. So that's part of the marketing that takes place. Not only that, you have the marketing online. So if you do a search for a particular item that you're interested in, the next time you open your phone, you'll see an advertisement for that particular item. And more than likely, it'll give you some recommendations on where you can get that item within a close proximity to where you are. So it's a full-blown attack on your money, and it starts before you even get paid. We're taxed extremely heavy in this country. You pay taxes on your income, on a federal, state, and all other kinds of levels. You're taxed. And then every time that you spend money, you pay taxes on, you pay that sales tax on the items that you buy. So keep in mind how important it is to safeguard your spending and make sure that you're spending on purpose every single time and not allowing your impulses to make you buy something that you didn't intend to buy. And I will say one of the most important things you can do other than having a budget and then going directly home when you get paid is making sure that you're planning for those emergency situations. Everybody needs to have an emergency fund set aside. I listen to, certain financial people that I respect. I like Dave Ramsey's coaching on his emergency fund. So it can be $500 if you make a lower amount of income, but if you're in a higher tax bracket, you need a minimum of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in your emergency fund account. I personally recommend, once you're getting started building your emergency fund, that you set aside at least $1,000 before you start to pay off any of your debt. You need to make sure you've got money set aside for those emergency situations that come up unexpected. So with that, I'll continue this series on living paycheck to paycheck, but I really wanted to hone in on the fact that this whole psychology and ideology around living paycheck to paycheck, it starts in your mind because I've like I said, the whole ideology about living paycheck to paycheck is more so a mindset than it is a lack of money. Most people have heard the old adage that as a man thinketh, so is he. If you ask the average person about their financial situation, they'll say, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, or I'm so broke I can't pay attention. What they fail to realize is that in those statements, you're actually manifesting the way you see your life. And the way you see your life is ultimately the way your life will be. Once you learn to start speaking life over your life instead of condemning yourself financially, then you'll start to experience some of the joys that come with having that extra disposable income to start doing some of the things that you want to do. I really encourage you all to analyze the way you speak about your financial situation, because the way you define it is ultimately the way it'll be. Also, going into your next pay cycle with the same mindset that you had in the last pay cycle it'll ultimately equate to the same situation 2 weeks from now. If you're going to have something different, you've got to do something different. And before you do something different, you have to think a different way. So I would encourage each of you to operate not in a spirit of lack, but in a spirit of abundance. And one of the ways you do that is to start really focusing on the things that are important to your life, the things that you have to have. And for a short period of time, step back from the luxury items, the indulgence of what your money can buy, and really focus on the things that you need first. And do that for a while until you have that extra money built up to where you can start experiencing some of the pleasures of life, like going out on those date nights. Sometimes you may have to dial it back, and date night may have to be at the house for a while, and until you can generate some extra income and have that emergency fund built up. One of the hardest things to do that I've realized is to see yourself differently than you see other people. You may have seen mom and dad struggle. You may have seen your grandparents struggle. So, for you to accept the fact that you're going to be the one that's different, you're going to break the mold. As some people say, that generational curse. It's not necessarily a generational curse. It's just a series of repetitive bad behaviors, bad decisions, and no one really takes the time to analyze why. A lot of it is learned behavior. We learn to be in debt. We learn to borrow money. I was a witness to seeing that a majority of my childhood. And sometimes you just have to tell yourself no, that you don't need that item that you're going to borrow money for or put on your credit card. You can delay it. And that's one of the first indications that you're starting to mature financially, is when you can tell yourself no, and delay that gratification for a time when you're in a better financial state, to where it doesn't hurt you to make that purchase. And that's one of the things that's really hard to do in today's climate, because, if you're in that mindset of looking at how people live online, you will find yourself in a bad situation, because you're going to say, if they can do it, I can do it. If they have it, I should be able to get it. Well, you don't know the background of their situation. They could have been saving money for years, and now they're finally in a position where they can start going on vacations every month, or buying those luxury items that you desire. But you have to move according to what your budget will allow. I've heard several occasions where my pastor would say, you have a champagne lifestyle, but you've got Vienna sausage budget. And if you live like, money is no object, when it really is an object, you don't have as much of it to dispose of that you would like, you'll eventually put yourself in a situation to where you're overburdened with debt. And you'll look at those items that you purchased and you'll realize that it wasn't worth the stress that is caused by trying to purchase something just for the moment. So really, it's about maturity. It's about changing your mindset. It's about setting a budget, establishing a plan of action with your money. I'll close and leave you with this one last tidbit. This wise man that I listen to all the time, he told me that your money is nothing more than employees. And if you look at your dollars as employees, their job is to produce more money for you. Quite often we look at our dollars as disposable, but they should be generating additional money for you. When you think about that particular train of thought, if I have $1,000, that $1,000 is supposed to make me another $1,000. But our mindset quite often is, if I have $1,000, so what if I spend $200? I still have $800 left. I'll tell you that particular mindset is going to leave you in a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So it doesn't matter if you make $500 a week or $5,000 a week or $5 million a week. If you view money in the wrong perspective and you view it as something that's free to give away, then you'll find yourself again in that cycle that you're trying to make up for what you blew. And it's hard to make up for money that you've been so careless with. It's hard to be trusted with additional money because you've demonstrated that you make bad decisions. So I started to view my money as my employees, and their job is to take care of me. And I look for ways to make that money make more money for me instead of just freely giving it away. So a lack of financial literacy, a lack of examples to go by, a lack of communication about how to spend money, how to manage money, how to delegate funds. That's the reason why we're in this cycle. So look for opportunities to gain some education around financial literacy. Find you a podcast to listen to. You're welcome here on this channel anytime. Find you some books to read, and really take the time to analyze how to make those dollars work best for you, and turn off the gratification, the need to feel good and the need to look good all the time. And you'll start to see that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck slowly come to a close. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope this added some value to your life. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode of Coachable Moments. Thanks.